Hello, this is State Representative Jay Neal reporting from the Capitol. It is Friday, January the 16th, and we have just completed the 5th legislative day of the 2009 session. If you watched my legislative update on Wednesday, I told you that I'd be doing this midweek, and then the end of the week I'd be doing a press release. I wanted to come to you today with a video update. I'll also be doing a press release as well. But there was something that I wanted to share with you that's very dear to my heart, and I believe is important to all Georgians. Yesterday, we had a special day at the Capitol. It was Drug Addiction Recovery Awareness Day. And we had hundreds of people across the state of Georgia that joined us at the Capitol to try to bring attention and the focus of the legislature and the governor to the fact that we have a serious issue in the state of Georgia, and that issue is drug addiction. There are some 55,000 inmates incarcerated in the state of Georgia. About 80% of that 55,000 are inmates who have drug or alcohol addiction problems. And of that 80%, only about 10% of them receive any kind of rehabilitative services during their time of incarceration. About 67% of all Georgians have been impacted in one way or another by drug addiction or alcohol. Another 60-some% have addiction or alcohol in their family, but have a stigma attached to it to where they don't reach out for the help that they need. Over the last several years, I have received a great deal of education about drug addiction and alcoholism. I guess you could say that at one time I kind of fell in with that stereotypical mindset that drug addicts and alcoholics have made choices and they're suffering the consequences of their choices. As a matter of fact, I think there were times when I felt like that addict or alcoholic, because of the choices that they made, deserved the consequences that they were receiving. After a few years of involvement in drug addiction and recovery ministries and efforts, after attending seminars and spending time with those counselors and the recovering addicts, I have learned a great deal about addiction. And I want to share with you just a few minutes some of those things that I've learned and how I believe it impacts you and it impacts the state of Georgia. Addiction is a disease that needs to be treated. There is a tremendous amount of recidivism for those inmates who, even if they're there with no violent crimes at all, maybe they're incarcerated just because of their addiction, don't get the rehabilitation services that they need, and the recidivism rate is tremendous for those. It's just usually a few years and they're back in prison again. Rehabilitation of those drug addicts provides long-term recovery that ultimately saves the state money in the long run. The governor on Wednesday in his State of the State address made an observation that I want to share with you that I believe is a very wise observation. He said, "This is a pivotal time in Georgia history." And then he went on to say, "It is a moment in which we are asked to see beyond what George Will calls the tyranny of the short term, beyond the circumstances of the moment to the big picture, a picture that is informed by our history, bolstered by our character, and stilled by our will to succeed." How true that is. In this budget, the cuts to addictive services is disproportionate. I believe if we look at the big picture, we'll understand that the importance of the state of Georgia investing more money in addictive services, investing more money in helping the addicts and alcoholics recover from their disease, be productive, get back involved in their communities, have a job where they're earning income for their family, paying taxes on the wages that they earn, I believe is a much better approach. As a matter of fact, statistics show that for every dollar spent in rehabilitation, $4 to $7 is saved in expenses through the corrections. Some studies show that every dollar spent in certain programs saves $12. I believe when we look at the big picture, it's important for us to understand that dollars spent today in addictive services equal several dollars saved in tomorrow's corrections budget. I also want to encourage you, because I know that many of you have been impacted by addiction and alcoholism as well. Statistics bear that out. I want to encourage you, if you have an addictive problem, there is hope for you. There is hope for your addiction. There are people who know how to deal with your addiction. There are people who know how to give you the tools you need to overcome that addiction. And I want you to understand that the stigma that goes along with addiction is not present among those who have a good understanding about addiction. Those individuals who you'll talk to, those individuals who will help you through this time of recovery from your addiction, they understand addiction. There's no stigma attached in their minds. There's going to be on the screen a number that you can call or a website that you can visit. Please jot that down. If you have an addiction or if you have a family member with an addiction, jot down that number. Jot down that website. Look for the opportunities for you or for your family member or your friend to receive deliverance from their addiction. I have a passion for this issue. I'll be continuing to work to help those bound by addiction to be set free. And I'll be continuing to work to make sure that Georgia provides the best possible services to the addicts who live within our state borders. This is Jay Neal. I thank you for your time. I'll be looking forward to talking with you again next week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. God bless you.